Hello and welcome back, Commanders. How you all doing today, or tonight, depending on your time zone. Lewis back here with another video, and this is the Bismarck. Or more specifically, this is my Bismarck. I'm sure plenty of you have the Bismarck in your collection by now. If not, well, to be totally honest, he's a Tier 7 battleship in World of Warships Legends, and he's okay for a tier he plays at. Alright, let's start with some basic history. KMS Bismarck, named after Otto von Bismarck. Keel was initially laid down 1st July 1936, and he was eventually launched in 14th of February 1939, and eventually commissioned the following year, 24th of August 1940. And to be totally honest, it's quite possibly the most legendary battleship that's ever been built and pressed into service at any time in history. General displacement, it's a little varied. But the general figure is 50,500 tons, or 49,500 long tons. But generally speaking, we just round it off to 50,000 tons and leave it there. Overall length of 251 meters, or for those of you who speak in freedom units, or was it imperial units? I don't know. But anyway, which translates to 823 feet 6 inches overall length. Beam width of 36 meters, 118 feet and 1 inch. Underwater draft of 9.3 meters, or 30 feet 6 inches. Total crew numbers, 1,962 non-commissioned ranks, and 103 officers. Armour, yes, plenty of armour all round. We'll get to that in a little while now. Main battery, just going to pan around the camera. 8 380mm main battery, made by Krupp. What else do we have? Total of 12 15cm SKC 28 guns, or 150mm. In addition to 16 105mm SKC 33s, 16 3.7cm SKC 30s, along with plenty of 2cm flak 30s. Yeah, armour belts. 320mm of 12.6 inches. Turrets, 360mm of 14 inches of armour. Main deck, between 100 to 120mm, or 3.9 to 4.7 inches. He also carried a total of 4 Arado AR-196 float planes, and had a catapult, obviously, in the middle to facilitate launching them. Yeah, after Bismarck was commissioned into service, overall service life for him was roughly 8 months. Well, we'll get to that. Let's see. But as we all know, Bismarck's most famous, or infamous, action, if depending on your perspective, was of course sinking the HMS Hood, along with Prince Eugen's help, and gave the HMS Prince of Wales a rather bloody nose at the same time. Which of course culminated after the Hood was sunk, the Royal Navy pressing everything they could get their hands on quickly enough to pursue the Bismarck, and eventually sink him. Rationing a place for Bismarck after being sent to the bottom of the Atlantic, 48 degrees 10 minutes north, 16 degrees 12 minutes west. Of course, there's always been a lot of hullabaloo about whether he was scuttled by the crew, or if the Royal Navy did enough damage to actually sink the Bismarck. But ultimately, either way, the end result was the same. So, for that out of the way, let's go after commander setup. Otto Ciliax, 16-3, with Andrew Cunningham and Robert Jejard as my secondary inspiration. Setup wise, well, I just run him as a brawler. Base damage increases battleship AP damage. Brawler speeds up the reload, of course. Reduces your range though. Crisscross, you can use Porcupine if you so choose. I'll go on Crisscross just to speed up the main battery traverse time. And of course, Firefighter, Master Mechanic for survivability. And of course, everyone's favourite battleship legendary skill, if you use this sort of setup, Build to Rebuild. Battleships just love this skill, let's be honest. If you don't have it, you know you want it. Anyway. So, Master Mechanic, Firefighter, Crisscross, Brawler, Build to Rebuild. This is my preference. And setup wise for the actual upgrades and modules and so on. I've got Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears, Target Acquisition, Main Battery Mod 3, and I've only got the whole upgrade installed. I haven't decided whether or not to install the other two upgrades, but as is for me, for my playstyle, it's totally fine as is. Yeah. Also joining me in my division for this video was Timbo, who I don't get to play warships very often these days, because we'll have to do adulting, unfortunately. So yeah, that covers some of the basics for the Bismarck's history and my commander setup and the modules and upgrades I've gone with. And we're going to have a couple of matches in this video. First of all, obviously, in the first match, I took the Bismarck, of course, and my division buddy, for some bizarre, crazy reason, and I'm not going to judge him, of course, took the HMS Hood with him. And that resulted in some very interesting matchmaking. But we still won. Spoiler warning, I know. So, how have I had Bismarck in Legends? Not long after German battleships were added to World of Warships Legends. Granted, I don't take the Bismarck very often compared to some other battleships, such as the Jumba and Odin and so on and so forth, but yeah. But like I said, Bismarck is okay at tier 7. However, to be totally honest, there are probably better options. But that's if you want to hang back and shoot from as far away as possible. You have obviously ships like Vanguard and Iowa, if you want to hang back. But if you want to get down and dirty of brawling, Bismarck is an absolute blast of a time to do that with. Yeah, Bismarck's main battery, 380mm, a total of 8 of those. Each one was manufactured by German company Krupp, and each individual gun barrel weighed around 120 tons apiece. So yeah, here you go. Bad pun time. That's a pretty heavy power, I know, but yeah. Anyway, survivability 69,200 hit points. Main battery, of course, 8 15-inch guns. Plenty of secondaries, some of which are obviously dual purpose. My setup gives me 4,400 HE shield damage and about 30% fire chance. So like I said, a defense, the 105s of course dual purpose, the 20s and the 37s are AA only. Maximum speed is pretty good, 28.5 knots. Concealment, yeah, not exactly Bismarck's strongest point, but of course that's par for the course with battleships. So yeah, let's go off the armour layout and so on and so forth. So, straight off the bat, the bow and stern, 60mm thick at the waterline, 32mm everywhere else on the bow and stern. So Bismarck can quite happily bounce 16-inch or smaller arm-piercing rounds. Anything bigger than that may be a different story, I'm just saying. Yeah, Bismarck, has just armour for days all over the ship. And of course, another recurring thing for German battleship line is, of course, their so-called turtleback armour setup scheme, whatever you'll call it, you know. But in other words, it's a very tricky type of armour setup to punch through from the broadsides. And we'll go over that shortly, don't worry. Yeah, so yeah, plenty of armour all over the Bismarck. So, between 32 to 60 millimeters in the bow and stern areas. Lots of armour along the broadsides. The superstructures obviously aren't as heavily armoured compared to everything else. The conning tower and turrets do have plenty of armour though between them. Although realistically you're not going to be trying to go for the conning tower, you go for the superstructures on the main body of the ship. Oh, it is worth obviously pointing out the arm belt that runs along the broadsides. If you angle it correctly and so on, you can technically bounce a Yamato shell, but that's if it hits the armour belt and you're angled correctly. Although, obviously, if you try doing that at the bow area of the ship, yeah, most likely it's not going to work too well. But I'm just saying it can technically be done, it'd just be tricky. That's all. That's all I'm going to say, it would be tricky. Without any further ado, let's remove some of the segments and go over the turtleback now. Now, turtleback means there's sloped armoured surfaces running along the sides of the citadel. Now, the citadel itself isn't angled, it doesn't have any angled surfaces on it, it's the casemates that provides you turtleback. And how turtleback works is, you have two sloped surfaces that are sloped up towards the edges of the citadel. The idea being, if a shell hits directly from the broadside, it will hit the sloped surfaces or the roof of the citadel and just skip straight off. To overcome that, you'd have to get your shells to drop down onto the turtleback to get through the citadel slopes and so on. So as for what kind of angle you'll need, this is the kind of shell angle you most likely will need to have a chance to hit the Bismarck citadel, or any German battleship for that matter. And you need to have a big enough shell to actually punch through the armour first. So ironclad, above average armour thickness, secondary reach, decent secondaries, and decent AP damage. Bismarck. Well, at the start of World War II, Bismarck was one of the mightiest battleships in the world, owing to his advanced gunfire control system, powerful artillery, his rugged construction, elaborate subdivision into compartments, and extensive armour ensured a high level of endurance. Entered service 1940. Ships in this series 2, obviously, now one big turbines. Right, gameplay. Don't get too excited though, it's not going to be some sort of super duper cracking matches or anything, we're just casual potatoes, so yeah. And straight off the bat you can see there's a Grosser Kurfürst next to me. My buddy's in the Tier 6 Premium Battleship HMS Hood, so that means we could be matched, put up against other legendaries too, such as Shimikazes and Gearings and Yamato and Alaska. Yeah, this is totally balanced, cough cough, anyway. However, all in fairness, my buddy in the HMS Hood actually held up against the enemy side pretty well, all things considered. So if we don't go pushing straight off the bat, we just wait a few moments, and then we started moving. So, like I said, there's a friendly enemy Grosser Kurfürst right next to me, and SB, and of course, if anyone knows what the Grosser Kurfürst is, it was a blueprint battleship. And, yeah, literally any ship can hide behind it. It's bigger than even a Yamato. Anyway, it's time to move forwards. Albeit not too quickly, because, as they've got legendaries, we don't want to risk anything too silly off the bat. Bismarck and a Hood in the same division. That's not historically accurate, blah, 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 blah. But it's for fun time if we're doing something like this. Yep, so now our teams started to spot the enemy team. So at this point we decided to go from roughly a fairly slow half speed to actually turning the engines on all the way and go for it. And ultimately, me and my division buddy, we decided to hold down the west flank around Alpha capture point. To have sink a few ships, or at the very least delay the enemy enough to prevent them from pushing towards our half of the map. Which ultimately does succeed, by the way. I'm just going to say it right now. Spoiler warning, I know. Now there's an enemy Ochakov right there. Definitely a little light cruiser you don't want shooting at you if you're on a Bismarck, because German battleships tend to be very easily set on fire. And as we all know, Russians just love spamming HE, because that's all they know. Yeah, I'm just going to switch over to high explosive shells because I'm anticipating that Ochakov either come round or maybe having to fire at a destroyer instead of a cruiser or battleship. And just in front of me there's a bunch of Shimikaze's torpedoes. How can you tell? Because Shimikaze launches 5 at a time. Of course, at this point, me and Buddy have noticed there's 10 torpedoes in total, so I was a little bit worried about, hang on, 5, 10, where's the other 5? So that was why I was sort of hesitant. But it turns out it's not Shimikaze shooting torps from over there, it was the Gearing's torps, we believe. Maybe where the Shimikaze is about to go bye-bye. So I helped out a little bit here. And the, yeah, that Russian destroyer helps out. He contributes a little bit. So yeah, it turns out the enemy's Gearing was responsible for launching those torpedoes in front of me and my division buddy earlier. But now we've got a rough idea of who's where. We decided rather than hanging back and slowing down, we just press on and just hold down the air flank. And I can't see the Ochakov, but I'll fire a salvo anyway, just in case I do manage to hit the thing. And of course I completely missed, but better than not doing anything at all. Yeah, but my main concern right now is the enemy's Gearing. I don't know where he is. That's in it, of course. The enemy's Jumba. Very potent battleship, if you know what you're doing with her. And we just bumped into the enemy's Alaska cruiser and a Yamato. Heaviest ever battleship to be made. And then of course me and Bismarck and my buddy in the hood. And further over to my left off screen is a friendly Yamato. And us three just, yeah, we just keep pushing forward. Yes, it didn't work out too well. However, it delayed the enemy enough and got them tunnel visioned into focusing us anyway. So yeah, no one was actually a bit too strong for the Yamato to deal with me right there. So of course I managed to retaliate with some high explosive shells. Now switch back to arm piercing shells. So right now I've got the enemy fleet very much split up all over the map, while our side is more concentrated towards the southwestern corner of the map. Right, so now turn broadside to the Yamato, not the best idea, but to get all 8 shells in the air and do some major damage, like there's a Citadel hit. And of course it lets me get all my secondaries going.
The ship is on fire.
Of course that Yamato knows he has to get back. Yep, still no joy of sinking me.
Problem solved, sir.
It ultimately takes the efforts of an Alaska and a Jean Bart to send me to the bottom of the sea. There we go. So Jean Bart finally sunk me. No big deal. Managed to keep the enemy fleet on this side of the map distracted for long enough. So let's jump over to my buddy's hood. There we go. So there's my buddy Timbo in the HMS Hood. Very nice battleship, battle cruiser. We'll just go battleship for the sake of in-game reasons. Well, she is technically an Admiralty class battle cruiser, the only one of her kind. But, you know, we'll just go battleship for now. Now, of course, another trait the Royal Navy has is pretty good accuracy at long ranges. There goes the Royal Navy high explosive, setting fire to the Yamato and ensuring he has a very, very bad day. So it's down to a hood, and of course off screen to his left, or port side, is a friendly Yamato. And of course, yeah, that enemy Yamato, Alaska and Jean Bart, they're more interested in trying to take us out of the way first. However, that's going to prove to be their biggest mistake, as you'll see shortly. Oh, so there goes a Yamato. Of course, my team division buddy, yep, he's firing at the Jean Bart. You can't really risk pushing forward too quickly, or at all now. But he's going to give it his level best to delete as much of Yamato's health as possible. However, of course, Timbo is now a bit too far away from the rest of the fleet to get any help in any reasonable amount of time. So there's not much he can do at this point, apart from just fire as many shells as possible before he eventually does get sunk. Of course, all 3 of them have been taking their sweet time sinking the hood. So if there's anyone still wondering what this mistake I mentioned by these 3 earlier, you know, okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Still wondering? Okay, I'll drop the subtle hints. Those 3 were so keen on taking me, my division buddy's hood, and Yamato out of the match, they completely forgot to defend their captured flags. And we've already got, obviously, 3 out of 4, and very shortly, we'll even to take Bravo into our possession. So yeah, not one of them thought between themselves, should one of us maybe turn around and keep an eye on our other flags? Nah, that'd be totally fine. Well, Alaska's saying get back, probably quite rightly so, because Alaska does have a pretty potent radar. Khabarovsk is like, nah, this is fine.
Nice work. All stations, reporting the position of a strategic target. Acknowledged.
Now I've got all 4 of the capture points. A 300 something points lead at this time. And yeah, so don't really have very much else to worry about at this point. And here's the enemy Alaska finally decided to make a return to the other flags they had captured earlier. But it's, however, way, way, way too late for the Alaska and his buddies. So in just a few short moments, we'll be taking the victory. And voila. So yeah, tunnel vision's a terrible thing, isn't it? Yeah, not too terrible. You know, 82,000 credits, 1900 ship and commander XP, 96 global XP, a few shells on target, a few secondaries on target, 1 citadel hit, 1 fire, 2 capacitations. However, I'll do another round saved ready to go, and I did slightly better this round. Yeah. So yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Could have been better, but can't complain, still won. And this time I've got the Bismarck, and my division buddy's taking their little brother, the KMS Turpits. I have a good battleship, because, well, it's pretty much identical to the Bismarck. They trade off really their Turpits is, you don't get the hydroacoustic search, or sonar, whatever you want to call it. Your secondaries don't have as much reach, but however, in all that as a trade-off, you get torpedoes instead. 2 lots of quadruple launchers, 1 either side. So yeah, Bismarck's ultimate fate was, of course, I was being pursued by the Royal Navy across the Atlantic, was sunk by the Royal Navy, or the crew just scouted the Bismarck. 27th May 1941, so at the time of recording I'm uploading this, 80 years ago yesterday, the Bismarck was of course sunk, and so on. And quite often, that particular event from World War II, obviously Bismarck sinking the Hood, with the help of Eugen of course, so Bismarck and Eugen, sinking Hood, giving Prince of Wales a bloody nose, and obviously Royal Navy having to sink the Bismarck. Yeah, it's quite possibly the most talked about part of World War II as far as the Atlantic Ocean goes, which should be understandable. So on this map we're on the Shards map, and being in battleships, yeah, we've been given the most awkward spawn point you can get in a battleship on this map.
Good luck and fair seas.
But in all fairness, we actually do manage to make this work. Not exactly ideal circumstances for this match, and spawn locations and blah blah blah, but we make it work. Yeah, me, my division buddy, and pretty much their entire lot of battleships on their side. We spend most of the time fighting, just lobbing a few shells back and forth across the Bravo point for most of the match. Oh, and there's a hipper. And an enemy Vladivostok over there, of course. And I already know there's a Bismarck somewhere over there. What else we got? To my right, obviously the enemy's Russian cruiser Shores, or Shores, however you pronounce it. And there's an enemy Champagne on their team as well. So at this point my rear turret was incapacitated for a short time, but of course it's no real biggie for me. I've still got 6 other guns I can fire back with. Of course, ultimately I'm just pushing forward enough to put an island between me and the shores and anything else that might be off to my starboard side. And this is pretty much about as far as I want to push for now. The last thing I want is obviously the hippos jump out from behind that gap between 2 islands and launch torpedoes and shoot torpedoes in my direction. Because the German torpedoes aren't exactly super strong on their own, but they do hurt. They do hurt. And there's my secondary battery opening up on the hipper, which is making that hipper think, okay, I'm going to pull back a little bit. So in a close quarters situation, Bismarck secondaries love to just dunk on you. The only real downside of battleship secondaries in general, even now and so on, is they're just not exactly brilliant at leading a target. Especially if it's a smaller, faster moving one, let's say destroyers of course. It's great versus other battleships because they're not exactly going super fast for the most part. But against small cruisers or destroyers, secondaries can be more of a hindrance rather than help in some situations. And that's even with the secondary booster consumable, because it's nice throwing the extra shells at towards your target if that's active. However, there's still the problem with your secondary battery leading a target sufficiently. So that's the main reason I did go for Bismarck all secondary guns build. So my setup for the Bismarck just is more geared towards short range, of course, as much accuracy as I can squeeze in, traverse time, and reload time, of course. So that's our advantage of a Brawley. You give up your range, but you speed up the reload time. And a Prince Eugen just deleted the hipper. Tusis is having a bit of a cat fight there. Although Eugen just completely blindsided the hipper and deleted him. Which means I can now push forward a little bit more. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And of course I'm just turning slightly towards the starboard side to keep the front half of my ship facing as many enemies as I can, while keeping it slightly angled at the same time. So I'm going to start working this Vladivostok over. When it comes to battleships to do a brawling with, so getting down dirty, fast reload, secondaries going off, and so on and so forth. to be totally honest, when it comes to the tech tree side of battleships, it's yeah, it's very hard to actually top the Bismarck for a secondary build. If you don't mind getting right up close to your enemy and risking getting shot at by everyone. I mean, yes, we do obviously, of course, have the what was it, USS Massachusetts, which is another good secondaries battleship, but that was from a campaign only. So yes, I do have Massachusetts, which is good at secondaries and whatnot, but even that's a main guns build. However, when it comes to tech tree battleships, as I was saying, yeah, Bismarck is very hard to beat when it comes to secondary setups. Or just getting down for a brawl. You don't necessarily spec into secondary builds. Now, the main guns are plenty sufficient. It just means you have to get a bit closer if you're spec to main guns instead of the secondary guns. It's that simple. And of course, this Vladivostok's getting a run for his money out of me. Yeah, I'm just pushing forwards, just a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. Oh, and rather than hitting Vladivostok, I just did a bit of landscaping instead. Oops. And one thing the German battleship line isn't particularly good at, although there are obviously exceptions, is long-range gunnery fire. And our friendly Odin just finished Vladivostok, nicely done. So who's going to be next to pick on? Oh, there's an enemy Iowa. This won't take much skill to do. Says all really for the average Iowa player. Shots fired, I know. And of course, Wagon finishes off the Iowa with burning damage. And they've only got 2 battleships remaining. An enemy still has a Bismarck over there, of course. I'll take a shot at it, just in case, you know. Yeah, as I said, Bismarck, Tier 7 Tech Tree German battleship. He's okay for the tier player. Yeah, not particularly outstanding at anything, but okay. Yeah, he's okay. That's all you need to know. You just got to be, you know, take some time with Bismarck, get to learn how to angle and make use of its armour. But it doesn't mean you go, even though you've got a turtle back, still doesn't mean you can get away with presenting broadsides to your enemy, because that all still hurts. So if you don't get citadeled, you'll take quite often a lot of pen damage from AP shells and sufficient enough HE shells as well. So you've very got to consider that in mind. Well, in just a few short moments, it'll be me sending this Bismarck to the go on his way to Davy Jones. Full salvo, and that sends Bismarck on their way to Dave Jones. That's a kill I'm going to get in this match. So all the enemy have left is the Champagne, and oh boy, the Champagne is going to get dogpiled in just a few moments. Luckily Akatsuki's on the board, he's off to our starboard side. And they head towards northeast corner, just in case the Champagne needs to be cut off. But ultimately not necessary, but at least that Akatsuki was on the ball, so props to that guy. Props to that guy. So of course, Champagne just ran out of map, so yeah, everyone's just joining and dogpiling to just get a Champagne sunk, call it a day. yeah, if anyone's watched this video from the very start to the end, I'm just going to just say this now. Massive thank you for sitting all the way through this lengthier than usual video. Of course, if you've enjoyed my video, or any of my other videos, give them a thumbs up, subscribe if you so wish, slap the notification bell, give it a good ring. And of course, if you have a Twitch account as well, join me over on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/r_Lewis_88, and you'll quite often catch me stream World of Warships Legends on Twitch as well. I do play other games, but yeah, I do play a lot of World of Warships Legends. But yeah, seriously, Commanders, yeah, massive thanks for joining me for this video and watching this all the way to this point and beyond. So what's there to do? Well, finish up this match. Yeah, someone's going to get the champagne, it's not me. Yep, a friendly Odin finished him off. But yeah, that champagne ran out of map, and that was it for him. So not a bad finish. 145,000 credits, near enough 1900 ship and commander XP. Took a bit of credit loss, but no big deal. 94 global XP, near enough 91,000 damage, 44 shells, 2 incapacitations, 1 sinking, 7 fires, 1 citadel, 1 flag defended, 1 captured or assist, and 9 secondary hits on target. And thanks for watching.